In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
The wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the...
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Money and Change. I'm Michael Vera with my colleague and my partner in crime here, Stu Shear. Stu, welcome.
Hey, Michael. Great to be back. And, we've got a lot of information to go, but Today, before we start, we always do a disclaimer. So the information contained in this presented material is from posting of news agencies on the internet and are not necessarily the views or opinions of the owners of this program. We're not responsible for and expressly disclaim all liability for damages of any kind arising out of use, reference to, or reliance on any information contained in this broadcast. The information provided is not offered as financial advice, financial planning, or for investment purposes. So you want to use this information at your own risk. Now, from the currency chart on XE.com today, and I need to remind people that when I give off these currency numbers, they constantly change. And they change just about every 20 seconds or so. So you need to understand that. But today, on the currency chart from XE.com, the euro was at $1.09 to the U.S. dollar. The Great British Pound was $1.54. It dropped 2 cents from last week. The Australian dollar gained a penny. It's at 74 cents to the U.S. dollar. The Canadian dollar still stayed the same at 76 cents. The Swiss franc dropped 2 cents. It's now down to $1.01. It's almost at parity with the U.S. dollar. The Japanese yen hasn't changed in a long time. It's still 0.8 of a cent. The Chinese yuan is at 16 cents to the dollar, and it's an artificially held currency, which means the Chinese control it. They do have an internal and an external currency, by the way. The Kuwaiti dinar, well, it dropped a penny. Last week it was $3.30. It's now $3.29. The Vietnamese dong.
Oh, the good old dong.
Yeah, the good old dong. It actually gained a little bit. Last week it was 21,819.76 to the U.S. dollar, and now it's 28,811 and 80 cents to the U.S. dollar. So the wheelbarrow of dong suddenly got lighter.
Well, hey, a couple more digits.
Well, hey, that's the way it goes. So if you're holding dong, it's going to be a long time till it reaches parity with the U.S. dollar. Bitcoin. Hey, last week Bitcoin was $280.03, and it's now $265.12. So it's dropped in price. Now, looking at gold, it dropped about a little bit less than $1. Last week it was $1,095.47 an ounce. It's now $1,094.11 per ounce.
And Stu, speaking of gold, I have had listeners who have been writing into me, and I've tried to get in contact with some of these gold and silver companies about maybe, advertising for them or what have you, because, I certainly want to test out the waters before I recommend stuff. But nobody gets back to me on it. So let me ask you. You're probably the next best person to ask, right? Outside of someone who owns the business, where would you, if you were going to buy gold and silver, what would you look at? Where would you go? What would you do?
Well, there are a lot of different ones. I have a friend in Cincinnati, and Mark has been buying a lot from APMEX.com. And they're very reputable. Matter of fact, as we talk, I will just go to their website.
No, good.
And,
I appreciate that, because people want to know, and I don't want to steer them in the wrong direction. So
well, and he's never steered me in the wrong direction. So right now I'm at APMEX.com. That's the American Precious Metal Exchange. Okay, and so at that location, they just went ahead and put something up in front of the screen. I can't read it. Okay, there we go. It's investments you hold, okay, is what they have. And they have different types of coinage. So, like right now, they're asking for gold is $1096.60. And silver is now at $14.87. That's for the ounce. Platinum is at $963.80, and palladium is at $602.70. And that's current as they have it. And they have deals on different types of coins. What you want to look for will be a gold coin such as like an American Eagle. They have gold buffaloes. Some of these commemorative coins, I don't know. I'd rather get the real American Eagle, or I would get a maple leaf. A Canadian maple leaf is really good. Perth has bars, and they also have kangaroos, which is their coinage. Australia has gold coins there from the Australian Mint, also the British Royal Mint. China has gold coins, but you want to look for 0.99995% good. Okay, it has to be that percentage of silver or of gold. Now, for silver, on the other hand, you can also get it from APMEX, and this is not a commercial for APMEX. Okay. It's just a place that you can get them. You can get them other places. You look around, and you'll see things from other suppliers. But I know that APMEX, the American Precious Metal Exchange, has been a pretty reputable place. And a lot of people deal with them. So anyhow, they have a 1-800 number, which is 800-375-9006. You can go online at apmex.com, and you can have a live chat with them. You could set up an account if you want. You can register right there online. You can sell your silver and gold to them, okay? And they have a thing that talks about why APMEX, okay? So other than making it sound like a commercial, okay, they are a good dealer. And there's some others out there, but just beware of going into a gold jewelry store that buys gold, sells gold, that type of thing. They may take you. APMEX is pretty straightforward, and you can get the circulated coins, or you can get the uncirculated type that are in plastic containers. So other than that, that's all I've got to say with APMEX. Silver is getting a little bit scarcer because, they're using it in manufacturing. They're not getting that much for it, so the mines have a tendency to close down, and when they close down, silver gets a little bit more hard to get, and the prices will start to go up. So we've seen prices as high as $45 in the last 2 years. It's now down to a point where it's $14.87. See, it just moved again. So, you have to go out there and try to find your best deal, and APMEX might be it. You might be able to find a better deal. You might be able to get something where they have bags of coins, and they would be bags of circulated silver dollars, and they would have a value. And you might have to get 100 of them in a bag. And, of course, they will ship them to you, and I imagine they would be delivered by probably some type of armored car setup, or they would be discriminately or discreetly shipped by and tracked by FedEx or some other company. But everything you should check. Really, you should check with APMEX. Okay.
All right. Well, Stu, thank you for that, because, again, I've been getting emails from people, so they wanted to know. And, folks, Stu's telling you the truth. There's no advertisement here. I'm not making anything off the company. Neither is Stu. I asked Stu for his opinion. He's given it to me, and I thank you.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Just do your research. I look at this stuff day in and day out to get stuff for the show, and I donate my research and time to the show, and which leads me to one thing. Normally I put this at the end, Michael, but people need to donate to the show. Number one, it keeps us on the air. It pays the bills for the electricity and the internet and everything else, and we need to have people donate to the show. And a lot of people donate their time to get the show on the air. So with that, let's take a look at the global markets here. In Reuters yesterday, global markets, world stocks, dollar flat before U.S. jobs data comes out. Well, investors moved to the sidelines on Friday with the dollar and world stock markets barely budging before U.S. jobs data that are considered key to convincing the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates for the first time in nearly 10 years. Europe's stocks edged down after a report showed exports in Germany dropped, with Wall Street also set to open lower. Futures were pointing to a seventh day of losses for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, its worst run in 4 years. Major currency markets steady with the dollar stuck exactly where it has been since March. So the prospect of higher U.S. rates has sucked funds out of the emerging markets, and a slump by Chinese stocks and a rout in commodities has also hurt investor demand. So you take a look at a few other things, like oil. It's faced its sixth consecutive week of losses and the longest run since the start of the year, with the Brent crude down 0.4% at $49.31 a barrel. So we're looking at a slowdown here. Any way you look at it, the ride that we've had the last couple of years, things, even though they haven't really expanded that much, Michael, we're in a retracting economy. Okay, a lot of people will see a glass half full. Some will see it half empty. I'd like to fill the glass myself, but the way things are going, instead of being half full, I think it's somebody sipping out of the glass and dropping it down to maybe only a quarter full. And you take a look at Greece, for example. The Greece farmers, they were getting paid some money by the government to farm, and everybody, enjoyed that. Well, take a look at Greece's economy. Last week we talked about it's a bartering economy basically now. A lot of businesses have been pulling out of Greece. So what does Greece have besides tourism? Well, they have olive oil. They raise sheep, and they farm. And that's basically it. There's no big car manufacturer there. There's no electronics manufacturer or anything else. It's just an agrarian type of economy with tourism thrown in. Mm-hmm. So in Naxos, Greece, a potato farmer whose family has tiled the fertile land on the island of Naxos for over 200 years. This guy's unfazed by all that he believes a farmer must inevitably face, inclement weather and natural disasters, but mentioned tax hikes on farmers demanded by Greece's creditors. And this guy, his face really gets really red with anger. And he said, with the new taxes, we'll turn back the clock back to 1970 when my mother cooked on a wood stove. And he says life will be like what it was when the Nazis occupied the country, except this time it'll be forever. And, for this guy's compatriots, and his name is Vathrokilis. Okay, and for his compatriots, the hardships of 7 years of austerity are nothing new. One in four workers is unemployed, and virtually every industry has been making sacrifices in jobs and in pay. Yet some sectors, notably agricultural, has been relatively untouched. Well, no longer. The change is in an illustration of the hardened mood among Greece's creditors in Brussels, Berlin, and the IMF, and a sign of Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras' weakened hand in the latest round of bailouts. Greece's new bailout program, the third, looks to set to scrap the status of Greece's farmers as an unprotected group, along the beneficiaries of subsidies and tax breaks. Farmers have been shielded by successive governments in a nod to supporting agriculture and keeping an important voter base on side. Now, as a consequence, farmers largely escaped the worst of Greece's financial ruin. And as the crisis bit, many Greeks who lost big city jobs have returned to the villages for the relative safety of farming. Okay, so now that they're going to start taxing the farmers, and the farmers are going to have a fit. Now, only about 350,000 of the 850,000 Greeks involved in farming are full-time farmers.
You know, let me ask you, does it make sense to screw with those who are growing the food you want to eat?
Well, the government's looking for money any which way.
Yeah.
Okay? They're broke. And if they can tax you, they're going to tax you. When you screw with people that are going to provide the food, that causes a problem. I mean, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Mm-hmm. And they shouldn't tax the farmers, but everybody's leaving any job that they have and saying, okay, I'm going to go out to Aunt Martha's vineyard and I'm going to, grow my grapes for wine, or I'm going to go ahead and grow olives out there on her 1 acre and get a subsidy for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody is just starting to move that way, and they've got a 13% income tax rate, and that was introduced in 2013, and that came from the European Union and the IMF creditors, and it's a difficult thing when you're on socialism, okay, which the Greeks have experienced in the last few years. You're always living on somebody else's money, and it's always great until it runs out. That's the big moral of the story with Greece. They've borrowed from the banks, the IMF. They borrowed from the European central banks, and they never repaid it back. And they probably borrowed because they knew that they couldn't pay it back, and they just suckered the banks into giving them money. Now the banks want it back, and it's time to pay the piper. And so you have to understand how that relates here in the States, okay? You just can't use up other people's money and say, well, okay, that's fine. I can get on welfare. I can stay on welfare for a long time because somebody's paying the bill. You look at it right now, probably about 47% of the Americans are working. Okay, that leaves 53% that aren't working. And as a result, you're barely able to make some payments. Let's take a look at the U.S. debt clock as it is right now. We have a workforce of 153,980,074 people. The actual unemployed is 16,336,354. The full-time workers are 121,354.97. Now, you look at the national debt. 18,339,196,900, and now it's spinning like crazy, 950, 60, 70, $80,000 and rising. The debt per U.S. citizen is $50,049. Now, the debt per taxpayer is $154,453. Gee, there's a disparity there. Why? Some people aren't paying taxes.
Well, yeah, and you got you could categorize them. I mean, you talked about the working class and the non-working class, but then there's the non-working class that could be working that would rather, the government, I shouldn't say rather, but the government has really made it more beneficial for people to just go sit back on welfare than to go to work. I mean, they really have. I mean, but then this whole $15 an hour for minimum wage, I don't agree with that either. And there's some people, even within my family, that think that it's a great thing, and I don't, because so you're telling me somebody who's flipping burgers at McDonald's should be making $15 an hour? I mean, that's a good starting place. That's where you learn, your job skills and stuff. You move on from a place like that. I mean, they can't even get it right. Stu Sowen told me the other day, says they can't remember to put ketchup in the bag. They want $15 an hour.
Ketchup in the bag, huh? Oh my God! I mean, that's.
But anyways, it's categorized. You've got those who don't want to work, and then you've got those who are illegal and working under the table that aren't being counted as well.
Well, and then there are some that are working the drive-through window that people come up and they get a burger, fries, and a handful of Coke, and it's not the type that's in a cup.
That's right.
You know, I mean, they caught somebody, I believe, over in Columbus one time selling drugs out of the drive-through window.
Oh, they were doing that in Rochester. There was a guy who got caught. He was doing it for a long time, too. It's just you come through the drive-through and he put a little extra bag of sugar in your McDonald's bag.
So that's where they got the old phrase, have a Coke and a smile. So, yeah, I mean, you run into stuff like this. You know, it's a starting type of a job. You know, everybody's got to eat. And so, you know, the restaurant business will always be around. But it's a starting place for a lot of the workers. Later on, as you move up into management, you get paid a little bit more. The hours are a little bit longer, but there's a lot of responsibilities. If you're just bagging burgers or making sandwiches or serving up the slop, okay, that's a simple task that a lot of people can do very easily with very little training. You need to go out and get yourself an education. Go to a community college and take some classes. A lot of employers will say, okay, what have you done lately? Oh, well, I've worked at Burger Boy or whatever, and I've been there 10 years. Well, did you go to school? No, I've worked there. I'm a very good burger flipper. Well, sorry, you know, I need a mechanic. And did you go to a trade school? No, I just flip burgers. Well, you know, you're condemned basically to that job.
No, yeah, and then they'll say, but sir, you're only offering $14 an hour for your mechanic's job, and I was getting $15 for flipping burgers. And look, you know, I had business. I had a landscape and a construction business, and I'll tell you what, you know, there was kids who come in there, they didn't know their butt from a hole in the ground, and I'd start them at $8 an hour, and I think that was very fair because they weren't even worth that half the time until the ones that lasted eventually became worth more, and then they would get more. But for those who just came in off the street, and you know, you got to prove yourself. That's the problem in this country now. People don't want to have to prove themselves no more. They think everything should be given to them. $15 an hour for flipping a burger, really? I mean, come on.
I know we could go all day on that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just one of those things. Maybe it's too much fluoride in the water that just makes us so complacent that we don't have the drive to get out there and really do something.
Well, what it really is, Stu, is it's part of the plan to destroy mom and pop businesses. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, because that's what it does. Because I'll tell you what, if I ever had a business again, I'll be damned if I'd hire anybody for that. So I'd do it myself.
You know, it's like a friend of mine. We always have lunch together usually 4 or 5 days a week. And we've been doing this for years. Well, he's retired, and he's helping out the school system as a part-time worker taking care of a football stadium, which, by all accounts, is one of the best football stadiums in the state of Ohio. Literally. It is the best. It's got everything you'd ever want. And he works like a dog trying to keep that thing spotless. And they called him up while he was at work, or actually while he was at lunch Friday, and they said, well, due to Obamacare, we have to drop your hours. Well, he gets 30 hours. They said that we have to drop you to 29 and a half. But he donates probably an additional 10 to 15 hours a week to keep that place spotless. That includes the artificial turf, maintaining all of the locker facilities, the coaches' offices. I mean, my God, the coaches' offices in that stadium are something that a small college coach would die for. I mean, it's that well set up. But no, they're saying, well, due to Obamacare, we have to drop you down to 29 and a half hours. And you look at Walmart and other places, they have to keep things down because Obamacare is killing them. And the small businesses are hurting. I mean, it's just idiotic that they would even go to something like that. But, hey, things are getting really messed up. And speaking of getting messed up, China's got a problem because we're not buying as much stuff. If you go to Walmart and you look around, you might see some empty shelves. Good. You might see some products there that you would normally get that's not available. Why? Because China's had to cut back in a lot of their sales. And there was an article in Bloomberg today about China exports fall as lower demand and a strong yuan hurt the growth. And they said China's export declined more than expected in July, hobbled by a strong yuan and a lower demand in the European Union, and adding pressure on Premier Li Qiang to stabilize the growth. And overseas shipments fell 8.3% from a year earlier in dollar terms. And the Customs Administration gave out that information. And they said the reading was well below the estimate for a 1.5% decline in a Bloomberg survey, and compared with an increase of 2.8% in June. And imports dropped 8.1%, widening from a 6.6% decrease in June. So that shows overall that there is a slowdown. So instead of expanding the business and expanding sales and everything, it's contracting. So is that leading us into a deeper recession? Could very well be.
Yeah.
You have to look at a lot of things. The People's Bank of China has adopted a really tight grip on the yuan, and it allows a little movement of the currency in the onshore market. But, offshore, they kind of tighten up on things. The only thing that the Chinese are doing, they're trying to put their money into infrastructure, like streets and roads and new cities with nobody living in them, except for the guards that are guarding the facilities, the ghost cities. So you take a look at a lot of things going on, and the economies aren't expanding. They're actually contracting, and the contraction may speed up in the next few months. And if it contracts too far, then we have a deep recession. And if it goes beyond that, then we are in a depression. And some people say we're headed towards quite a depression that makes the Great Depression look like a walk in the park. Now, when we talk about declining sales and things, let's just look at this. Hedge fund losses from commodity slump is sparking an investor exodus, and this came out of Bloomberg again. And it said investors are demanding their money back as losses mount. And it says even when Cargill, the world's largest grain trader, decides to liquidate its own hedge fund, that's a sign that commodities speculators are in trouble. So what's a commodity? Okay, here's the definition. The basic idea is that there is little differentiation between a commodity coming from one producer and the same commodity from another producer. A barrel of oil is basically the same product regardless of producer. Compare this, say, to electronics, where the quality and features of a given product will be completely different depending on the producer. Some traditional examples of commodities includes grains, gold, beef, oil, natural gas, and others. And more recently, the definition has expanded to include financial products such as foreign currencies and indexes. Technological advances have also led to new types of commodities being exchanged in the marketplace. For example, cell phone minutes and bandwidth. Okay, so what's a hedge fund? Well, a hedge fund is basically a fancy name for an investment partnership. It's the marriage of a fund manager, which can often be known as the general partner, and the investors in the hedge fund, sometimes known as the limited partners. And the limited partners contribute money, and the general partner manages it according to the fund's strategy. And a hedge fund's purpose is to maximize investor returns and eliminate risk, hence the term hedge. And if these objectives sound a lot like the objectives of mutual funds, they are. They're basically similar. The name hedge fund came into being when the aim of these vehicles was to make money regardless of, whether the market climbed higher or declined. This was made possible because the managers would hedge themselves by going long or short stocks. Shorting is a way to make money when the stock drops. You build it up so far, then you drop it out. Hedge funds focused on raw materials lost money on the average in the first half, and the New Edge Commodity Trading Index shows that. And diminishing investor demand spurred Cargill's Black River Asset Management unit to shut its commodities fund last month. Enduring redemptions, including Armajaro Asset Management Group and Carlyle's group Vermilion Asset Management and Chrome, or KROM, River Trading. While hedge funds are designed to make money in both bull and bear markets, managers have a bias towards wagering on rising prices, and that's left them vulnerable in this year's slump. And that's what you run into. And, I've always talked about hedge funds and derivatives with banks. That's where we got into trouble. And the hedge funds are just a betting situation. And, you could take a hedge fund and get a lot of investors in there, put it up on the markets, and people say, oh, it's got $1 million in it. It may look good. And by all reasons, it may look good. But when you start looking into it and people start investing in it, hoping that it's going to get better, all of a sudden, the guys decide to pull their money out. So they went from 1 million to 10 million. Okay, so the general manager, his percentage might be maybe $2-3 million, and then everybody else gets what's remaining. Okay, and the little investor gets screwed, and that's what's happening. So when you look at the commodity markets and they're declining, the last time that happened, we started having a depression or recession. And you want to look at the commodity markets, because when they start contracting, you've got a problem. And we just continue to watch that.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a look at Walmart. Walmart, and this was in Bloomberg by Shannon Pettypiece. That's a funny name, Pettypiece.
Pettypiece. I wonder if that's made in China.
Well, no, Pettypiece is probably an English name, but I don't know. Small piece, maybe. Not a big piece. It's just a petty piece. Anyhow, she wrote an article here, unintended consequence of Walmart's raise, unhappy workers. When Walmart stores chief Doug McMillon announced plan to boost store workers' minimum wage earlier this year, he said the move was intended to improve the morale and retain employees. Yet for some of the hundreds of thousands of workers getting no raise, the policy is having the opposite effect. And in interviews and in hundreds of comments on Facebook, Walmart employees are calling the move unfair to senior workers who got no increase and now make the same or close to whatever or what new or less experienced colleagues earn. The new workers started making a minimum of $9 an hour in April and will get $10 an hour in February. So here you're giving the new guys a raise, but you're not compensating the people that have been there for quite a while. And does that make you productive? Not if you've been there a while.
That wouldn't make me productive.
It would pretty well piss you off. New guy comes in, he's making $9 an hour. You've been there for 10 years, and you're making probably $10 an hour, maybe $9 if you're lucky, maybe $8. Who knows? Depending on the type of job. And all of a sudden, the new guy's making more than you, and he's doing less work or doing something that's more trivial.
Oh, and I've seen that happen before. I have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you see it happen?
Oh, I've seen it happen at the place of employment that I was at. I've seen grounds guys come in. It was for a college campus, and of course it's a lot of work. But guys who would come in there, and you're lucky if you see them 3 days out of the week. They come in, you start at 7, they'd come in at 9, and these guys are getting raises. And while everybody else who's been there breaking their butts and really keeping the company going, it's like it's expected of you. We ain't got to reward you. That's what you should do. And so, it causes problems within the workforce because
Well, this is what the article was saying. It's pitting people against each other, which is exactly what you said. And this Charmaine Givens Thomas, a 10-year Walmart veteran, says it hurts morale when people feel like they aren't being appreciated. I hear people every day, is what she's saying, talking about looking for other jobs and wanting to remove themselves from Walmart and a job that will make them feel like that.
Well, I'll tell you what happens is when the people running the company, whether that be managers or whatever, when they start not giving a damn about you, they better be careful, because that means the employees stop giving a damn as well. And so it starts at the top. So, you want to keep your employees happy. I'm not saying give them everything they want, but you definitely want to treat them fairly and equally. And if you don't, well, you're going to be laid off soon too, probably.
Well, yeah, and my philosophy was, when I was in business years ago, I would always treat all of my employees, with respect, and hey, how's your day going? Glad to see you're here today. And tell them what needs to be done, and just try to motivate them during the day, trying to get things done. And normally they did that. I mean, as long as you didn't jump down their throats, but you were positive in the way that you handled your employees, they felt like, hey, this is a neat place to work. And if I was ever short an employee for that shift, I could call somebody up and say, hey, I need an employee to work a certain position. Would you come in today? Oh, yeah, I'll be in. It's how you treat the people. And by what Walmart is trying to do, that's gonna cause some problems. And if Walmart and other retailers, don't adjust pay for veteran hourly workers, they could have a lot of rising dissent among the employees, and then you get productivity starts to slide. And it's how you treat the employees that matters. For example, when I was with the state, I basically ran a division half the state, and I would have problems with employees time to time. But they'd say, well, you're probably going to wring my neck. I'll say, no, I'm not going to wring your neck. What's the problem? And they would tell me the problem, and I'd say, okay. Now, how are you going to fix it? Did I yell at them? No. Did I scream at them? No. I said, how are you going to fix it? And then they would lay down how they were going to fix it. And I'd say, okay, you have 48 hours to fix it. And then let me know if it's fixed. If it isn't fixed, then what I'll do is I'll come back in and I'll help you fix it. No, I wouldn't wring their necks, but I would help them fix it, okay? And then they'd turn around and then we'd have a talk, okay? And I'll say, now, the next time, you put your foot in a meat grinder, be more careful, Mm-hmm. And I never really had a problem with my employees that way. And I expected that to be transported, the same type of management style, over to their subordinates. Okay, so we basically had 60 facilities. I had 7 people to manage those 60 facilities, and it was a management style that I had. You made a problem, okay? How are you going to fix it? Okay, and if it was really severe, yeah, we'd probably have a discussion. But I never had that, because I could tell my guys, hey, let's go ahead and get something done for once, okay? And let's do it right each step. And if you don't, just remember this, and I think I've mentioned this before. Imagine you're in the bottom of a 12-story outhouse, and the outhouse is filled above you with elephants with a very diuretic problem. And you're in the basement, and you have a sump pump and a shovel. and the electricity just went out on the pump, you are going to be in some deep stuff. And that's just the way I put it, you know. So they didn't make a lot of mistakes, and that's the big thing. But you got to motivate your employees. You have to motivate them, and the more you motivate them, the more they're going to work for you. The better off things are going to get. You know, there are other incentives that you can give people besides bonuses. Just pat them on the back once in a while. You know, you just don't beat them into submission. They're not slaves. You have to motivate them.
That's right.
Even though you'd like to beat them sometimes, you know, you still have to motivate them, and you have to be positive about it. But, you know, additional pay bumps to Walmart, you know, well, they would basically drag down by about $1 billion, and that Walmart's already spending on raises. And, you know, last year, Bentonville, Arkansas-based Walmart generated $486 billion in annual sales and a profit of about $16 billion. And so Walmart has said about 500,000 of its 1.3 million U.S. employees are getting raises as part of this new pay policy. Well, if you're going to do it for one, you're going to do it for others, and it's going to affect your bottom line. Trust me. After looking at years and years of profit and loss statements, I can tell you that. So you just have to watch what you're doing and motivate people the right way. You know, give them a fair wage, but daggone it, if they're not going to work, see you later. You know, the old restaurant phrase was, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Yeah.
You know, and they're fired. Who, me? Yeah, you didn't work. So, you know, everybody works, everybody gets paid. You don't work, you don't get paid. End of statement.
That's it.
So, yeah. So, you know, I mean, Wally World is going to have a problem. And it may be a good company to work for in some levels, but maybe not on the floor, maybe not in stocking or warehousing. Maybe it's not in product delivery on the road. You know, you always see Walmart cars or Walmart semis, you know, going into stores. And a lot of stores get 5 or 6 deliveries a day.
Yeah.
So you have that going on. Okay. Another thing here, you know, this is a good one. And this is something that everybody needs to check. There was an article by Dan Steinhardt in the Activist Post, and this was posted in Intellihub.com. And it says, there's a good chance your bank is committing a major crime right now. Woo. Okay. Now, just take a look at this. On April 10th, 2006, Mexican authorities searched through a DC-9 jet at the airport in Ciudad del Carmen. And they found more than 5 tons of cocaine valued at more than $100 million. Now, that's back in 2006. If you're like many Americans, you're not surprised by a story like this. Not a year goes by without a few big media stories about Mexican drug cartels. However, you probably will be very surprised to learn who aided and abetted the drug operation. It was the U.S. banking giant Wachovia. And after an investigation that took years, Wells Fargo, which now owns Wachovia, paid a $160 million fine to settle the case. Wachovia's blatant disregard for our banking laws gave international cocaine cartels a virtual carte blanche to finance their operations, said federal prosecutor Jeffrey Sloman. You might also be surprised to hear that Wachovia's fine wasn't an isolated case. Citibank was caught laundering money for a Mexican drug kingpin in 2001. American Express Bank admitted to laundering $55 million in drug money in 2007. And the FBI accused Bank of America of helping Mexican drug cartel hide money in 2012. And you've probably never heard these stories before. The big banks pay a lot of money to keep it that way.
I was going to say, it sounds like something they do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've got these big lawyers that are working retainer for you, and if you need to settle out of court, you settle out of court, and you pay big money, but you're also making big money. Every year, America's biggest banks spend hundreds of millions of dollars to create simple, wholesome images, and they're here to help out families and small businesses. They're the conservative stewards of our capital, and they always play by the rules. Yeah, right. The big banks employ some of the world's the best marketers, and they buy politicians with large campaign contributions.
Well,
they also have huge advertisers.
I was gonna say, Stu, if you could get caught with say marijuana in your car, and they could impound your car, or you could lose your house over drugs, shouldn't the bank their business should be confiscated? That should be it. They shouldn't be in business no more.
Well, yeah, but see, they're paying off people. You look at let's just say Goldman Sachs. Okay, that people that have worked for Goldman Sachs have worked in the U.S. Treasury or for the Fed. Okay? When their time is up, they go back to Goldman Sachs in some capacity. So here you have a gigantic bank able to go in and take care of politicians. If it was really a good way to do things, you would say, sorry, we don't want any of the bankers in government. Keep them out. Another thing to do is to kick out the lawyers in government. It would be a lot leaner that way.
Well, then you'd hear an echo.
Oh yeah. I mean that's the way it is, But these banks, they go out there. They have all the marketing. They give out a lot of contributions to politicians, either at the state level or at the federal level. I don't think that they do that locally. I mean, that's just small potatoes, but you want to get to the big guys. And so when you take a look at maybe the Speaker of the House, or you take a look at the President of the Senate or other key people, maybe they are getting little donations off to the side, maybe 500,000 here or $1 million there or whatever. And they learn how to launder it. I'm not saying that they do, but chances are if you went in and really did a good FBI cleaning and research, you probably find out a lot of different things that have been going on that are probably illegal and covered up.
Yeah.
But if you look past all the fancy brochures and they feature the all-American families and the golden retrievers and small business owners, you get a different idea of what banks are about. And you'll see that our nation's biggest banks are among the most flagrant lawbreakers in the world. They're routinely fined hundreds of millions of dollars, even billions of dollars, for screwing customers and rigging financial markets. Gee, that sounds like the LIBOR whale that we've been talking about for the last, 6 months?
Yeah.
9 months to a year? And who got fined? Well, you had Goldman Sachs got a big fine. JP Morgan Chase got clobbered. Okay, so they were into it deep. I believe Citibank got clobbered with a few $1 billion in fines. Bank of America and Wells Fargo. Okay? For screwing around in the currency market. Then there are other fines that they get messed with. In 2011, we had Bank of America paid a $335 million fine for discriminating against black and Hispanic borrowers. And in 2013, JP Morgan paid $410 million for manipulating the electricity market. And later that year, it paid $13 billion to settle claims that it knowingly sold toxic loans, junk loans. And in 2014, Bank of America paid a $6.3 billion fine for selling faulty mortgages. And then 2015, 5 big banks paid $5.8 billion for rigging the currency markets. And that's just a short list of the banks breaking the law and getting fined. And a Boston Consulting Group reported that banks have paid more than $178 billion in legal claims since the financial crisis. So what do you want to do? Research your banks. And I've been telling people, really research your banks, because the big boys that are out there, the Citibanks, the Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and J.P. Morgan Chase, maybe the Mellon Bank, the others, do your research on the bank. And if they're paying out a lot of fines, where are they getting their money? They're getting it from the depositors. They have to. Some of the profits from the bank, some from the depositors. They have to be getting that, okay, to pay this stuff off. So I would research that. And if your bank is any one of those, my thoughts are this. I'm not recommending that you do it. I'm just saying you probably want to consider it. If your banks are the ones that I mentioned, you probably want to consider getting out of those banks and going into a small bank, which would be a farm-based bank, or savings and loan, or a type of a credit union. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Instead of a savings and loan, we'll just consider credit unions. Small, good, solid banks where the people you're talking to. And that's a good thing to do. So, there's a lot to research here, and I know we've just got a couple minutes to go here. But, there's an article in lnminfo2015.weebly.com, and it has money and change in that section, and it talks about commodities collapse just before the last stock market crash. So guess what's happening right now? I suggest you read that article several times, because it's pointing to what's going on right now. Now, also, if you want to go to lnminfo, that's info 2015.weebly.com, in the prepping for disaster section, I've got a lot of things there. One of which I just put in was the signs that point towards something big happening, and it looks like it's going to happen in September. A lot of people have been researching September. When in September? Well, it could be the 20th, 23rd, or it could go into October. Who knows? But there's a biblical calendar that came up, and it talks about when the biggest losses were. And it was every 7 years on a calendar. There's a video for that. So please check that out. Okay? Wow. There are rules for your emergency food pantry. Okay? What do you have there? And it tells you how to rotate your food. So, in short, go to lnminfo2015.weebly.com. I've got a lot of good articles. I've got a lot of good videos there. I picked them up off the internet and put them up there for everybody to use. And in closing, next week we'll have some more information, God willing, and we'll put that out there. We do a lot of research on the internet. I take a look at 22 different sources every day of the week, and we look for financial and other information, even on prepping. So today, like I said, we've talked about apmex.com as a source, and again, that was 1-800-375-9006. If you want to invest in gold and silver, hey, that's your choice. But I would recommend this before we close. Number one, you want to pay down your debt. Number two, you want to save up some money, put it aside, put it in a safe place. If you want to keep it in the bank, that's fine. Just remember, when the banks close, you may not get your money for 9 years, according to FDIC. The next thing is you want to get long-term food, long-term storage food. And you can start as little as $20 a week and build it up. But September's coming close, so you might want to start checking things out. Yeah. If you want to go to beprepared.com, that's fine. They have a lot of sources there. Amazon has things. But long-term emergency food is what you need to do. Also, water. Have a good way of storing water. Always keep water on hand. Whether or not you have a filter straw later on for other types of sources of water, or you have barrels of water around, or jugs of water. Everybody lives on water. Keep your meds, okay? And so I don't want to harp on that too much, but September's rolling around, and if you haven't prepared, it may be too late. But, Michael, that's all I've got this week. And with that, we wish all the listeners a very good week. Go to lnminfo2015.weebly.com and keep abreast of the information. And with that, Michael, that's all I've got this week.
All right, Stu, thank you so much for bringing these reports to us each and every week on Money and Change on the LNM Radio Network. And folks, there you have it. So we'll be back with you next week. Tomorrow, I have a psychic joining me on the air. So on Late Night in the Midlands, 9 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to call in, and we'll get you on with the psychic. Maybe you can get a reading of your own. He's supposed to be really, really good. So, folks, that's it for tonight. Keep your eyes posted to the sky. Keep your ears posted to this broadcast, and have a great night. Good night, everybody. Hey, folks, do you love Late Night in the Midlands? Do you miss shows because of the time of night? Do you wish you could listen at your convenience? Well, we can help you out with that one. Become a late nighter without the late nights and subscribe. Become a late nighter for just $5 a month. That's right, $5 a month for the paranormal, the unknown, the known, but most important, the truth. Go to www.latenightinthe-midlands.com and subscribe right away to become a late nighter and help keep the LNM Radio Network on the air. Looking to advertise to a large worldwide audience, but at an affordable price? Contact the station at mv@latenightinthe-midlands.com and tell us what you're looking for, and we can make it happen. That's mv@latenightinthe-midlands.com.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you may be, across the nation, around the world, the chat room, the phone lines. We're coming at you live from the East Coast of the great United States, and more specifically from the capital city, Columbia, South Carolina. This is Late Night in the Midlands, and I am Michael Vera. Welcome, everybody. A lot of people went to vote, and, the message I've been trying to get out to people, you don't have to vote for Obama or Romney. There are others. I noticed on my Facebook that, I had a lot of people these shills, these feds, whatever the heck they are, will come in and they'll have, a picture of a UFO on their page, and they've got a few things that they put on there because they think that's just going to give this quick scan, if at all. And you're just going to go ahead and let them in. Well, there was some that I had let in. I noticed that, days or even weeks later, they change it and put, their picture changed and said, vote for Obama, and this and that. So there's a lot of that going on, a lot of troll business happening on Facebook, so beware of that. I don't know. I see a lot of shilling going on over there on Facebook. So just beware of that. Want to hear whatever you want to talk about. Long as it's, decent. Maybe you're one of the people who had problems and the machine was, not cooperating with you. We want to hear about it. Maybe you're in the Northeast and dealing with some kind of martial law. Well, I'd like to hear about that too. Again, we're going to open lines. And if things go well, then we'll do this more often. I used to do this back, I don't know, 3 years ago, we used to get piles of people on the lines. Well, then, I went to WIC and then radio, blah, blah, and before you know it, just, I don't know, people are still getting the word that Late Night in the Midlands is back to its original form. So maybe we'll start getting some calls in here and do some open lines. Is it real or is it not? I don't know, but I'll tell you what I'm worried about more than Planet X. Barack Hussein Obama is the president for the next 4 years. So you know what that means. That means you can kiss this country goodbye. How do you feel about this? What do you think? Do you think we're going to survive the next 4 years? There you have it. It just goes to show, Thomas, you don't have to be an American. You don't have to have a strong belief in God. This guy says he's got Christian faith. He's full of crap. Okay? He is absolutely full of crap. He don't like America. He doesn't like America. He's living his father's dream here and destroying America. I mean, I just can't believe it. It's over. It really is. It's over. The curtain's closed. The next 4 years. Oh, you think it's been rough. For you people who love NDAA, you love being lied to. Remember, this is the guy that had the live mic and told the Russian president, I'll have more flexibility after these idiots vote for me. There you have it. So, let's see what happens now. It should be interesting. I have a lot of news in the next 4 years. The internet's not a lot. So he wants the guns. He wants the internet. He's already took the Constitution. He's wiped his big ass with it. I just can't believe it. I gotta believe that this guy was put in there and that people didn't actually vote. I know there's idiots out there who actually hit the vote button for Obama, but I can't believe that many. I mean, is it true? Is our country really turned over like this where nobody gives a damn? I have to laugh because, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. I cannot believe this. And there's going to be, and now, you know what you're going to see in the news now? For weeks, you're going to see people, holding up their free cell phones and their signs, Obama's the president, and, these people, they think it's like a football game or something. When the wrong team wins, that's not good for any of us. Well, maybe some of us. The ones that like the free ride. I mean, I bet you could get everyone who voted for him, I bet you could get them into a FEMA camp. All you have to do is tell them that, hey, we got TV, we got video games in there for you, and you have the internet. Go. And I bet they'd stay in there happily. Just keep feeding them and giving them everything on a platter, on a silver platter, and just gladly walk into the FEMA camps for them. This is it. This is what they've been waiting for. They've been waiting for this election. It's now over with, and our dictator has been chosen. And now you can expect the economy to fall apart completely. You can expect more war, probably expect more attacks here in the United States, probably all covert from within our government. I mean, you can expect a lot now. Expect a lot. Nobody, I don't care where you are in this country, if you think that you're safe and you're going to do well with Obama as your president, good luck with that. Good luck with that because, if you count everybody whose unemployment has run out, we're at like 20% for unemployment. Nobody can find jobs. Everyone's losing their houses. And this is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So you get rewarded, you get Nobel Peace Prizes for being a total screw-up. I mean, and then I'm so sick of hearing, well, he was handed a mess. What president isn't handed a mess? You're supposed to try to make it better, not add to the problem. But there it is, and everyone's waving their American flags. They might as well put up some kind of Arab flag, I don't know, Kenya flag. You might as well raise that because, America's done as we've known. I mean, it's already been going downhill. I mean, everything's falling. It's going to hell in a handbasket before our eyes. And now he's got 4 more years to finish his job. And whether it's strings being hooked to him or not, the fact is he's the one who's supposedly making these decisions. So there you have it. There's the guy. So shouldn't be long. We should be dropping bombs in Iran, killing more babies, too. It's right there in front of your face. Instead of being lied to by your fake news and these phony-ass politicians and tell you, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. All they're going to do is serve the agenda. So, we're all pretty much slaves now. I say if you got enough money, if you're well off, you might want to get the hell out of here while the getting's good. Well, I'll go with you. We might as well put up a family-sized teepee, and we'll all just sit around and smoke the pizza pipe till it's over. Just a bunch of dummies in FEMA camps. I think that's what we got to look forward to. I hope not. I'm going to keep fighting here until they come and take me away, and I know a lot of you will too. I'm disgusted. I'm steamed tonight. Well, folks, from the East Coast of, at least for now, the United States, I'm Michael Vera. This has been a broadcast of Late Night in the Midlands.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.